o'clock. Hard to believe we're at this point already. The last few days have flown by. But thank you all, especially to our external guests who have come back to hear about the fabulous work that we've been doing. Some great outcomes to report back to you, some exciting news about next year that we'll hear from one of our partners, and a chance to really celebrate everything that we've pulled together over the last few days, which we hope you will be as impressed with as we are. So I've got a few of our lovely participants on the stage with me. We're going to walk us through different pieces of what has been happening over the last few days. We also have some online guests who unfortunately were not able to be here in person, but wanted to join us. So without further ado, we'll jump in. And our first speaker is Julien Barbier, who is the Head of Marine Policy and Regional Coordination at IOC UNESCO, and also the Global Coordinator of the Ocean Decade. And he will be giving us a readout of some of the key outcomes and initiatives over the last 2.5 days. So over to you, Julien.
Thank you very much, Alison. Good to see you all back for the last segment of our meeting. Welcome also to all the national partners and colleagues who are joining us this afternoon. So my job is relatively simple, is to present to you the outcomes, and thanks to Alison, who is, I think, and Michael, who has been kind of capturing, distillating some of those inputs, which I think makes it a very strong outcome for this meeting. First of all, I think the first outcome of this meeting is the choice that we had to reconnect to each other, to actually exchange and share good time, share stories, share experience. This is what this group is about, and this is the group of the alliance of the foundations. We are here as Secretariat to facilitate this work, but this is really your group. Certainly, after 2 years, we initiated this process back in Copenhagen. I think I'm not the only one, but several of us have noticed the energy in the room and the engagement of all of you in these discussions, and this is very very well appreciated. So the meeting indeed saw a strong engagement from leading foundations working in the ocean space, and was also reinforced the strong and unique role of philanthropic organizations as key partners of the Ocean Decade. I think we heard a lot about your experience, your activities, your programs, and the depth, the richness, and the knowledge that we have here in this room is quite amazing. And this really led to strong engagement in discussion that led to rich, productive dialogue in those last few days. Those discussions themselves, focused on a number of topics. So we will start with the 3 C's. And John, don't worry, there's another one coming after that. So the 3 C's, those are really some of the core issues that we see as a group, as a philanthropic group, where these members and this coalition can really help advance the decade. The first one is the issue of co-design. Co-design is really at the heart of the decade. It's one of the philosophical primary change of how we do science. It's really about engaging end users, working in collaboration with different stakeholders in directing and in identifying the issues and delivering the solutions. So co-design, no surprise, was a centerpiece of many of the discussions. There was certainly a general agreement that regardless on how we call it, science that is designed and delivered with a mix of stakeholders, including end users, is needed and is more likely to have an impact to meet the sustainable development ambition of a decade. It was also clear that to the group that co-design requires time, requires resources, and it requires skills. And in these areas, the role of a philanthropic community is very important. It can really help to support co-design and provide either through financial or in-kind support some assistance to the communities we work with. The group also recognized that targeted support will be needed for co-design throughout the implementation of a decade, and will continue to identify tangible ways to work together to support endorsed and future decade actions. Then the next issue, the second C, is communication, and to be spelled it out a bit longer, communication uptake of science and outreach. And of course, this is very much linked to the co-design as well. But the group certainly highlighted the role of philanthropy in supporting usable and communicable science and in supporting dedicated communications and outreach activities for that purpose. Identified targets of capacity development align with those of a decade, including partners in small island developing states, least developing countries, and early career ocean professionals were also identified. As an outcome, we also have the decision of this group to establish a new working group on communication within the Foundation's dialogue, which will advance issue of communication and uptake, including support and mentoring to decade actions through various mechanisms. Then the third C, the capacity development. I believe the group identified the wealth of experience that resides, of course, with the foundations in capacity development in particular, and really saw this as a way to provide support to decade partners across a vast range of scientific and soft skills topics. As a next step, it was agreed to move forward with a mapping exercise, which will be carried out to identify existing and future opportunities amongst the foundations, and also match with the gaps in capacity development needs that are being identified presently, but also possibly in the future from existing decade programs. The group also proposed to develop a statement of principles and approaches for capacity development to guide decision-making around future support. Other issues, technology. So the role of philanthropy in these areas is certainly to invest in technology that is scalable, sustainable, novel, and usable. The role of the Ocean Decade, both to catalyze new technology and the needs of Ocean Decade initiatives for new technology, including affordable, low-cost technologies, was discussed, and as well as the role of philanthropy that it will play throughout the decade to catalyze and test proof of principle for new technologies. And in this area, again, the importance of cross-philanthropic partnership and coordination when working with technology was certainly emphasized and will be continued to be discussed. We also talked about financing models, very important. There was recognition of the important role that blended financing and support models could play in meeting the ambition of a decade, the need to focus on appropriate delivery mechanisms and ensure that solid metrics are in place to measure the impact of such mechanisms. The role of philanthropy as a catalyst, but also as a risk taker, and the unique mix of in-kind and financial support that philanthropies can provide were also discussed, highlighted, and seen as an opportunity to build upon. So as a follow-up, the group is certainly going to continue to explore new financing models to align with the needs of both and those decade actions, but also to support the catalysis of new initiatives in the future. We also had a number of thematic discussions, and one of them discussed on the ocean, focused on the ocean and climate nexus, where again the role of philanthropy was highlighted, particularly in terms of strengthening the science policy interface and build skills of scientists in policy development, as well as the potential of this group to play a more coordinating role in advocacy and influence in the future. And of course, we have big occasion in Egypt in a few months from now. The issue of ecosystem management was also highlighted, and the role of philanthropy to support monitoring capability in area-based management, bridging the divide to social science, and to support knowledge generation on the role of ecosystems in the blue economy was certainly highlighted. And here I just want to open a little parenthesis, a personal story. 15 years ago, one of the foundations, which actually is present here in this meeting, decided to invest some resources in the work of IOC, particularly in the area of ecosystem-based management. And that catalytic investment really helped us to develop the concept of marine spatial planning, which is now being used at the international level. This resulted in a set of international guidelines in 2009, an international conference, a very important partnership with the European Commission on those issues. And now we have a result that we have about 70 countries around the world who are engaged in one way or another into marine spatial planning. So this is just an example to really demonstrate the power of sometimes going for something that might not seem very viable, but really testing it and exploring its potential is very important for us to progress with some of those concepts. Some of the other key outcomes of this meeting focused on the geographical distribution, geographical sessions. And in particular, we had one on Africa, where there was a commitment to establish an Africa working group, which will work on implementing key elements of the Ocean Decade Africa Roadmap, which was endorsed a few weeks ago at the Cairo conference, around the issue of ECOPS in particular, and ocean literacy and blue carbon. There was also recognition of a need to tap into existing networks and political landscape in the Arctic. That came through the Arctic Working Group, obviously. The need to focus on communicating science in this area. The need to encourage coordination amongst decade actions and funders working in the Arctic, and consideration of expansion of the working group to also include the Southern Ocean. The role of the Foundation Dialogue to coordinate and harmonize philanthropic activity in Oceania was also highlighted, and also possibly with a clear focus on indigenous and local knowledge in the region, and the role of a group in promoting ethical science in Oceania. So those are the more kind of substantial activities and messages I think that we can certainly draw over the last 2.5 days. But then the last part of our discussions, which we had this morning, is very important, is really how we convey these messages and how we engage others in the work that we do. And of course, for the whole ocean community, there's a huge opportunity ahead of us in a few weeks, which is the UN Ocean Conference in Lisbon. So in this process, I think in a discussion, we certainly recognize the important platform that Lisbon offers to share these messages and to engage those new partners within philanthropy, but also beyond. There will certainly be a strong philanthropic, industry, and civil society engagement in Lisbon. And as far as we know, there's about 74 foundations that have been accredited to attend. And one way to convey our message today will be through the Bouknadel statement, which we discussed this morning, which in a sense is a bit of an identity card for what this group stands for and what it is about. And certainly we will do our best to unveil these messages through the different decade activities planned in Lisbon, but also I'm sure our foundations will also disseminate through their own network. And this statement really calls for action, and it calls primarily to the wide philanthropic community, but also a little bit beyond that, to support the co-design, the co-delivery, and the use of ocean science and knowledge that aligns with the priorities of the decade. And of course, also to develop new partnerships inside and outside the philanthropic community, leading to innovative funding mechanisms to support the decade at local, national, and global scale. So I think this is the summary of 2.5 days. And again, I want to thank you all for your engagement, your support, and your ideas. And now we have a lot of work in front of us. So let's go and do it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Julian. So you can see we've been busy. We haven't been just enjoying the hospitality and the beautiful gardens. We've been working as well. So, but a great summary. We're now going to pass on to our next speaker, Olivier Venden, who is joining us remotely from Monaco. Olivier was appointed in 2019 as the Vice President and CEO of the Prince Albert II of Monaco Foundation, and he leads the work on the foundations and its 3 main priority areas of the Mediterranean Basin, polar regions, and least developed countries. Before joining the foundation, Olivier worked for the Parliament of Monaco in various positions. It's a thrill to have you with us today, Olivier. Welcome to you. I hope you can see the room. We can see you well. The floor is yours to talk about the engagement of the foundation and the foundation's dialogue. We seem to have a bit of a technical glitch. I think you are frozen. Just bear with us while we while we work that out. What we might do is actually pass to our next speaker while we get Olivier back on, if that's okay, just so we can keep things flowing. So our next speaker needs no introduction to many of you. Margaret Leinen, who is the director of the Scripps Institution of Oceanography and, of course, the co-chair of the Decade Advisory Board, who's going to give us her reflections on the work that we've accomplished over the last 2.5 days.
In many respects, I certainly represent the Decade Advisory Board, Charlotte, another member. But, you know, ocean science is sort of a medium-sized to small scientific community compared to biology or biomedical. So we know each other very well. And in many respects, I feel like I'm the ears for the scientific community listening to all of you. And when I came, I said, we need your help. And we need your help in connecting with users. You've redefined that for me as co-design. And we've had some wonderful discussions about that. I said we also needed your advice and your assistance in capacity development to move away from the way scientists look at it as, you know, training workshops to really developing capacity for science in all of the places that we work. Then I told you that we were really struggling with a connection to the Global South. I think there's only one program that's led by someone from a group from the Global South. And we really need to do a lot more with that. That's another C for you, connectivity. And then in some ways, because we had those wonderful, or at least attempted wonderful pitch statements to you, it was your first opportunity to see the programs, to hear what the program's ambitions are. And so it also was a way for you to get to know us a little better. And I will never forget the comments afterward, your amusement over our pitches, and your volunteer to communicate, to help us with communications. And so that's another way that you have done that. And through all of this, sort of behind the scenes, behind my face, I was also carrying that question on the part of the scientific community that is part of the Decade. Does this resonate with you as philanthropists? In this world that you live in, can you see the strong sense within the programs of our desire to really be that connection between science and sustainability? And I was privileged to be at the first dialogue. And the thing that really strikes me is the difference in the pronouns. During that first meeting, there was a lot of, my foundation thinks this, my foundation thinks that. And here, the pronoun was we. And there has just been a tremendous change as you have seen something in us that resonates with you, that makes you as a group say, we want to participate, we will join. And I think that is just an amazing thing that's happened. And it's the most important message that I can bring back to the Decade Advisory Board and to the other programs. The philanthropic community is invested in this. They want to help, and they're there for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Margaret, for those very, as always, wise and inspiring words. It's so wonderful, I think, to have this, your dual perspective as both a member of the Strategic Decade Advisory Board, the co-chair, and your role as, you know, leading and being engaged in one of the decade programs. You really have that unique perspective, and I know that helps us on many issues and many discussions. So thank you for being here, and thank you for those words. I am looking to see if we have Olivier back with us. Not yet. No. Okay. What we will do then is we will pass to the next speaker, who again probably needs no introduction to most of you. Vladimir Rybinin, the Executive Secretary of IOC UNESCO, who is joining us from his office in Paris. Vladimir, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Alison. Yeah. Do you hear me well or not?
We hear you very well, and we see you very well.
Okay. You know, what I actually observed in the room, you know, it's very difficult for me to see what is happening there, but I observed some inner glow in Alison and also in Margaret. and even Julian looked really happy. So, you know, I only see your backs. You know, what I also see is that, you know, there are less ties in the room. So sorry, I'm taking off, because this is really what I wanted with you to happen. And you know what is really important? You know, that is what Margaret said. It's about the word, the pronoun we. That's exactly what we have been trying to do. I'm very happy to use that pronoun. And indeed, ocean is so big, despite our universe is so small, and we have to do it all together. So I was very encouraged by Julian's words that when he said that he was inspired by the wisdom that came from the room. And indeed, I'd like to say that I think I was participating recently. It was yesterday. You know, things in decade go so fast. Sometimes you think it was a month ago. It was only yesterday. We actually were closing the series of decade laboratories that started in the Berlin conference, and the 7th laboratory on productive ocean was finishing yesterday. And 7 laboratories during a year. I would say productive, like we would like to see the ocean. And one good thing is ending, and then that it gives the birth to start of the other one. And that is how the decade unrolls. And I would like to say that, you know, I have a feeling that after that meeting in Morocco, in Rabat, you will be able to we will have you on board. So, you know, it's only if you start co-designing the science, and if you work together as we all, and start co-designing science and add your enormous capacity to what is happening, then we are going to win. You know, like a week ago, we finished the executive summary for the State of the Ocean report. I have to say that it was a big revelation for us. And we can now state that the science roughly knows what needs to be done. And because of that, we are able to plan the decade and co-design the decade, but the level of our quantitative knowledge of the ocean is drastically insufficient. And this is where we have to make the difference, because if we wish to enable solutions, then we need to manage the ocean, and then we need to measure the ocean. And that requires really stepping up our activities. So Julian spoke about capacity development that you would like to pursue. And on this, I have to say, we can also offer you collaboration with the capacity development strategy of IOC and the wisdom of the group that is working there. And I would like to say that indeed we have a unique chance now in Lisbon to present to the, you know, I also participated recently in a meeting of the Ocean Conference Advisory Committee. And I remember that the United Nations Secretary General's envoy, Ambassador Peter Thompson, said, "I don't want a show. I would like to use the conference just to move forward on the so many issues that are so crucial for this civilization." So with that, I think I'm very happy to see you smiling. You know, this is what we need. It is very important also to say that, you know, in IOC, we have a tradition. We start as partners, we always finish as friends. So welcome on board, dear friends, and let's just make a big, big difference. Without you, it is impossible. Well, we can make it. Thank you. And good luck, safe travel home, and of course, huge thanks to our friends, to the Mohammed VI Foundation for Environmental Protection, the hosts of the meeting, for the all partners, for you to be coming, and they're having fantastic discussions, as I understand. So I hope that Olivier will come back to the meeting. We're going to see you in Monaco, and well, you know, we are very good in inventing job to ourselves. You know, more work, always, no good ideas, but they never let us go. You know, with that we have only more work, but that's what makes us happy. Thank you very much.
Okay, we can hear him. I think that's going to be good enough. Yeah, because it's his words that we're waiting to hear. So let's go back to Olivier Vanden, who we will not see, but you've seen what he looks like, so you can imagine. And we will hear his words. Olivier, can you hear us? Apologies for this, where I can see the technical team working, trying to sort it out. Okay. Well, look, we might go to our next speaker. Just trying to buy time. Sorry. Yeah, that's what I'm. Yeah. Sorry. Right, well, let's go to. Oh. Olivier, can you hear us? Okay, well, let's yeah, could you?
You know, Alison, if I may, this is Vladimir. You know, according to what I hear, the problems are on the side of Olivier, because, you know, I perfectly hear what is happening, but with Olivier, I have the same thing. So it looks like it's Olivier's side that isn't working.
All right. Well, thanks, Vladimir. Yeah, I think that's the same thing. Why don't we go to our next?
This time you can hear.
Oh, there we go. Okay, can we try that again, Olivier? No, it sounds like it's going to be complicated.
Hello.
Okay. Hello.
Here.
Can you keep talking, and we'll see if we can get a good link going.
Can you hear?
No, unfortunately, we can't hear you. We can't hear you, Olivier. So I think we're going to go with a contingency plan, which is our dear colleague and friend Sylvie.
Right. Can you hear me now? Sorry, I connected on my phone.
Okay, now we can hear you. You're off. Apologies for this. This is adaptability, flexibility in action. Please go ahead, Olivier.
I'm so sorry. It's really disgusting to be betrayed by technology. But anyway, it's wonderful seeing you all. It's been working very well on my end. So a great hello to you. I'm very disappointed not to be able to join you in person, but I'm glad that the foundation was very well represented over the past 2 days. My warm congratulations to start with to our host, the Mohammed VI Foundation, a dear and long-standing partner of the Prince Albert II of Monaco Foundation. So our sincere appreciation for all the efforts you put in and the quality of the organization. And of course, my warmest thanks and regards to the IOC UNESCO team for preparing this very timely event. So indeed, and it's been said by Vladimir and Margaret earlier on, but the United Nations Decade for Ocean Science, Sustainable Development offers a unique opportunity to fill this widening scientific gaps when it comes to ocean conservation, as well as advanced research and management when possible. So today the problem, as you said, is we need action now. We don't have much time to act, and therefore we need partners ready to join forces, to join ideas, and to join, of course, financial means. As you're aware, the Prince of Monaco is a founding member and a patron of the Alliance for the Decade of Ocean Sciences. He's also constantly engaged in raising awareness of the importance of generating ocean knowledge. And in such a context, I am deeply honored and pleased to officially announce, even though I guess you all know it before, but the Prince Albert II of Monaco Foundation is extremely proud to be able to host the third Decade Foundations Dialogue in Monaco from June 14 to June 16, 2023 at the Monte Carlo Bay Resort. And I therefore hope to meet you all in person on this occasion and to embark, of course, more partners on this long journey to benefit the global ocean. Because indeed we need foundations like yours, like ours. We know how pivotal foundations can be when addressing environmental issues in order to help craft international platforms, multi-sectorial dialogues, and of course, promote new funding mechanisms. Why that? Well, I would say that perhaps they are more agile and more flexible. They can more easily support innovation in the first phases of innovation, and they can also test solutions both in terms of technology, as it was stated earlier on, but also when it comes to financial approaches. Finance is, of course, key to success, and it is central as we need to raise this $5 billion USD every year to meet the 30 by 30 campaign, even though to date, roughly $10 billion US have been raised in total for the ocean. So we are very far from getting close to this goal. So we need to go faster, and we need to channel investments to the ocean. And among many examples, I'd like to once again mention the Global Fund for Coral Reefs, and I'm pretty sure that Sylvie, who is among you today, has already gave you details, but it was fundamental as well in our own strategy at the foundation to shift, to elaborate a more complex approach to the problems than rather than just doing traditional philanthropy and writing checks to support on and on projects on the ground, very often with the good results though, but with the question of the sustainability of the approach. Well, with the Global Fund, we evolved towards blended finance and impact investments, which we believe would be central in the years to come to guarantee desperately this sustainability in finance when it's the most needed. So this example, this successful example of the Global Fund shows the strength of the foundations, which, because of their positioning, can very easily bring together these different stakeholders, can federate and facilitate the dialogue that is so crucially needed, and leverage the communication that Julian mentioned in his introduction. We need to push day after day this communication, and because we need also to be quite humble. And despite the fact that in this room, we all know what is going on in the ocean, I'm pretty sure that the rest of the world doesn't, and that only a fraction of the global population is really aware, not only on the ocean situation, but also on the connection, the interconnection with climate and biodiversity. So it is on this basis that our foundation, the Prince Albert II of Monaco Foundation, proposes to contribute to the circle of foundations in the framework of the Decade for Ocean Sciences, and to reflect with you on the program for the third Decade Foundations Dialogue that will be hosted very proudly next year in Monaco. So we look very much forward to the pleasure of welcoming you all in the Principality, and I wish you again a very successful end of these working days, despite the fact that I could not be with you in person. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Olivier. And it's such, I think, such a wonderful, given your long-standing partnership with the Mohammed VI Foundation for Environmental Protection, for them to be able to pass the baton, figuratively, to the Prince Albert II Foundation of Monaco, Rendezvous in Monaco 2023. I'm sure you'll all be there, and as we were talking this morning, we look to have new diverse partners joining us as well to continue this adventure. So a wonderful announcement, and gives us something to focus on over the next 12 months, get us through those Zoom calls over the next 12 months. All right, well, we're coming to the end of the session, and now it is my true pleasure to introduce again, you've seen her everywhere this week, Kenza Khalafi, Partnerships Officer from the Foundation Mohammed VI for Environmental Protection. Kenza has been with the team an incredible host. You have been everywhere, looking after the smallest detail to the largest detail, to just the hospitality has been incredible. So before giving you the floor, I would like to thank you very, very warmly for your personal engagement and commitment. It's been absolutely fantastic working with you. And please, the floor is yours to close this meeting.
Dear Executive Secretary of the UNESCO IOC, dear members of the Alliance, Dr. Margaret Leinen, Mr. Olivier Vanden from the Prince Albert II of Monaco, dear colleagues from the UNESCO IOC, Mr. Fassiferi, Perpetual Secretary of the Hassan II Academy of Science and Technology, honorable partners and guests, on behalf of Her Royal Highness Princess Lala Asna, President of the Mohammed VI Foundation for Environmental Protection, I would like to congratulate all the participants of the dialogue for the work covered over these last 3 days in the Hassan II International Center for Environmental Training. We discussed the co-design, the uptake of ocean science. We considered with scaling up clearly in our mind, financing, technology, and innovation for the ocean decade. We got inspired through speed rounds of pitch sessions of endorsed decade actions. We dove deeply into topics such as the ocean climate nexus, capacity development, communicating science, marine pollution, and finally, ecosystem management and resilience. While we are all united by the ocean, we did not fail to consider regional context through region-focused sessions. In fact, I would like to highlight an outcome of the African Interactive Breakout Session, the creation of an African working group that will be pursuing impactful results to support the 9 priority future decade action of the Ocean Decade African Roadmap. The Mohammed VI Foundation for Environmental Protection is committed to engaging in that working group and to encouraging additional African stakeholders to join as well. It is totally aligned to the Foundation's fundamental mission since its very creation 2 decades ago, to federate different stakeholders into an inclusive approach. I would like to thank and congratulate the Prince Albert II of Monaco Foundation for its role as upcoming host of this Foundation Dialogue. We can share with you a top 1 advice, and that is to work in close collaboration with the brilliant team of IOC UNESCO. Indeed, I would like again to extend my warmest thanks and appreciation to the UNESCO IOC Secretariat, led by Mr. Vladimir Ryabinin, and comprising in such hard-working, friendly, and supportive individuals as Julian, Alison, Michael, and online maybe, Rejan and Aya, among others. I hope you have enjoyed your time with us in Morocco. I look forward to building on the Bouknadel statement that was prepared during the 2nd edition of the Foundation Dialogue, hosted in the Hassan II International Center for Environmental Training, the academic branch of the Mohammed VI Foundation for Environmental Protection, presided by Her Royal Highness Princess Lala Asna, patron of the Ocean Decade Alliance, in support of the UN Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development. I will close by wishing all of you a safe trip back home, and for the ones staying in Morocco, enjoy. We look forward to meeting you in a few weeks in Lisbon, inshallah. Thank you.
With those wonderful warm words, thank you, Kenza. That brings us to a close. So from us as well, thank you to you all for coming from far and from near. Safe travels, and we hope to see you all again very soon in person.